Now, in my three-volume set, Spirit of the Antichrist, in volume two, I have a couple of chapters on some of the phenomena and some of the ways that there's this upsurge in the unseen realm. But my goodness, two volumes. You really get down and dirty into some of this stuff. Let's jump in. Tell us, start with one of your topics that you want to present today.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and there's many of them. I start off the book with getting into some of the technological stuff. Like quantum computing is uh, really exploding lately. One of the biggest problems with quantum computing in the past has been it's so delicate. These quantum systems, they literally work on like the smallest of the small, in the quantum realm. So these systems are so delicate. One stray particle coming in from cosmic rays or something can disrupt the whole system. And so for a long time, I thought, well, we're going to be decades away before they're going to be able to fix that, because how do you even protect against something like that? It seems impossible, but it's not, because many companies have. And it seems like almost overnight, not too long ago, all these companies started rolling out all these new quantum chips that solve for that problem, by and large. What's kind of scary with that is we're going to be coming up into a time very soon where quantum computers, which of course they're going to integrate AI into that, they're going to integrate artificial intelligence into quantum computers, which is going to vastly increase what it can do and how powerful it is. I mean, if we think that AI is a little scary now, just wait till it gets involved with quantum computing. But we're very not very long away for this stuff being mass produced. So, of course, when it first gets mass produced, it's going to be really expensive, as everything is. But over the course of time, it's going to become affordable, and people are going to be able to have these things in their homes. And what kind of thing might that entail? Well, one thing that a lot of people in technology are worried about is what's called Q Day. And it's the day that quantum computers, and we're almost there now, but when quantum computers can get in the hands of like regular people, or even maybe companies that don't have the best interests, and when quantum computers can break encryption codes for anything, like
Hmm.
banking, national secrets, country secrets, all of that stuff. Because right now, the way that the encryption works, they use these big prime numbers. Basically, they use like a math problem that would take a normal computer, billions of years to solve, but a quantum computer can do it in just a couple minutes. And so that's really worrisome, because we don't have quantum protections in place right now. And by the way that it sounds, it would take longer to get those protections in place than it will for Q Day to actually hit. So
I
we're coming. Yeah.
Are there protections against, that type of decryption?
Not really, because they would have to change the entire system while people are still using the internet. So it would be like if you found out some criminal in a city got like a master key to every lock. So now you have to change every lock of every door in the city, but while people are still going in and out of the doors. I mean, it would be a really difficult thing to do. They're wanting to do it, obviously. They're working on it, but by what it seems like, this Q Day thing is going to hit first. So what that's going to do to the world, who knows?
I mean, Q Day's coming, so it seems like there's really no defense against it, because you're right.
Yeah,
I mean, once you can decrypt any code, and that ability is in the hands of just any household criminal.
yeah,
I mean, imagine the implications of that. I mean, that
yeah.
seems like a pretty big deal.
Yeah, for sure. And Q Day will probably hit before these things can be mass produced for regular consumers, which means that the first person to wield this holds all the power.
Huh.
And so in the book, I postulate the question, and I do this in my presentation for Prophecy Watchers also. Is it possible that the Antichrist, or some sort of system that comes before to set up the Antichrist, gets a hold of this first? and then unlocks all the secrets they want, gains all the power, and then it never really gets into consumer hands because they have all the power and can do whatever they want. And it's really scary to think not only like what America would do with that power, but what about our enemies? What would Russia do with that power, or any of these Middle Eastern countries, Iran? So that's kind of terrifying. And what's especially scary about it is, while there's like guesses and projections and stuff, people don't really know how bad it could be. Like nobody can really predict how this is going to change the world until it actually happens. But I know for me personally, like bank accounts aren't safe. I think that pretty soon we're going to be seeing a lot of like hacking into stuff like that. And so people got to beware of that. But yeah, the way that technology is exploding, and then especially if AI gets integrated into that, which of course it will, that's going to superpower artificial intelligence to no other. And at that point, it's almost like limitless power. Like almost anything could be done. So
Yeah, I mean, as bad as that is, and of course, it sounds kind of minor in comparison to sort of this end of the world apocalyptic type scenario. But on top of all that, you've got the fact that a whole job class of cryptologists, they're going to be gone. There's no reason
Yep.
to have cryptologists anymore if you've got quantum computing that can do it, instantly almost and without the human involvement. So, one more example of technology replacing the people, as you all know, Harari likes to say. So, how is this technological sign of the times? In what way is that supernatural? Are we saying that demonic elements can be involved in that?
Yeah, in a couple of different ways. So for one thing, it is so strange that we have this level of technology today when we've always had the materials for it and we've always had the brain power for it. So what's inspiring it? I mean, because we tend to think of like technological development as only human driven. And it's like, if that was the case, there's no reason the ancient Greeks couldn't have had an industrial revolution. There's just no, they had the same materials. They were clearly brilliant. They could have had one. So why didn't this happen, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago? Well, I think that part of it is demonic influence towards a certain goal. So we know that Satan ultimately wants to have control over the earth and Antichrist and all that stuff. Well, how do we set that up? How do they set that up? And so I think that is some of the inspiration behind this big explosion. And we see a parallel in the Book of Enoch when the fallen Watchers came down to Earth, the 200 Watchers, and what did they do? They gave mankind knowledge. They taught war and weapons and all sorts of other things. So I think we're seeing a repeat of that now because again we're headed towards the end times. The second one is with AI. How would it be possible for us to know if an AI is truly artificial or if a demonic influence is taking part in it? Like how do we know there's not a demon in the machine? There really would be no way to know that. So even AI today, there have been weird tests that have been done, and people will ask it religious questions, and sometimes it'll give out these like demonic answers and stuff. And so imagine that, but super powered with a quantum computer. And we know prophetically there's this image of the beast thing, and that is apparently built and set up, and it can move, and it has some kind of life in it. Well, what if that's a machine, but the consciousness is actually demonic, and the demonic consciousness is running the machine? And so I wonder about that today. Like today, if demons were influencing artificial intelligence, how would we possibly know? We wouldn't see it in the code. There wouldn't be any kind of physical thing like that. And so that question, I think, becomes even more prevalent when we start adding in quantum computers and even getting to the level of what's called artificial consciousness, which is a step above artificial intelligence. That's where the intelligence is really self-aware and is basically like what we would think of as a person. And I think that we're just right on the doorstep of that as well. So yeah, that's a couple different ways on how the supernatural fits into the